Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning to all of you on this Friday morning. Uh, I'm very happy to welcome all the esteemed participants from the various colleges and universities across India that have joined us today for this inauguration of our program Engage and also for this panel discussion discussing the topic e-skilling for being fit for industry. I'm very grateful that almost 300 colleges across India have joined this live stream, and they are very eager to hear what the eminent panelists on this virtual dais are going to present today. My name is Manish Kohli, and I'm part of Tata Technologies, and I head the EdTech business. And I'm very delighted that we've today managed to bring all of you together and this esteemed panel to discuss on this topic. Before I begin, let me just outline what is the flow for today. So today, in about 40-45 minutes, we are going to have a panel discussion to discuss the opportunity that the academia and industry together have to upskill and reskill the student community, followed by the launch of the Engage program, for which all of you have seen our website and you have interacted with our people. And then lastly, we would also have some time for question answers so that if you have queries or questions to the panelists about the program and in general the talent and supply demand and how things are shaping in the industry, we would be really happy to answer some of those questions during the course of today. So with that, let me introduce the panel that we have today amongst us. So we have two sides of the coin represented here. With us is Siva and Sriram. Siva is from NASSCOM and Sriram is from Tata Technologies, who really work very closely with the industry and have a keen sight on what's happening with our customers, with the industry at large, and what are their demands, and where are their opportunities and where are they really struggling. And then we have Ram Babu and Tracy, who represent the other side of the coin, which is when people come and join our organization. So, what are the challenges, or what are the different nuances when it comes to bringing talent in house, and then to make them deployable? What is the process that we deploy? So, Siva, many of you may know already, he's heading the ER&D initiatives at NASSCOM. It is responsible, which includes growing opportunities for ER&D in the industry and build tech capabilities and ecosystems, nurture Indian innovation quotient, and also he's driving very many policy decisions within the organization, within the country. And before joining NASSCOM, he has been an active member of Tech Mahindra for almost 20 years and has been responsible for developing strategies, defining business models, go-to-market strategies, and really developing their business, and has a very, very keen insight on what's happening in the industry. So, warm welcome to you, Siva.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish.
All right. And as I said, we also have Sriram. Sriram is the Chief Technology Officer and President of Tata Technologies. Again, closely working with all our customers and trying to address their needs when it comes to technology. And before joining Tata Technologies, he's been part of IBM for almost 20 years. Again, very keen eyesight in terms of the needs of the customers. And now with what's happening in the industry because of the latest trends, and represents the industry side in today's panel. Welcome, Sriram.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
And with that, let me move to the other side. The people who then make the people that we bring in the organization deployable. Ram Babu is a senior vice president and he's responsible for bringing talent within the organization. And he comes with a lot of experience in not just the HR function that he holds in Tata Technologies, but also has been on the business side and worked closely with customers and brings a lot of experience of what needs are there in the market. Welcome to you as well, Sri Ram Babu.
Manish, and thanks for this opportunity to meet the youngsters and education, professors and the eminent professors and the team which is building the next generation of the engineers for our country. Thanks.
Perfect. We are glad to have you here, Rambabu. And last but not the least, Tracy Ostina. Yeah, she is a dynamic lady representing our technical university. She's responsible for setting up the whole technical education function in Tata Technologies, and is also a subject matter expert in automotive electronics, and has been educating and making careers for many people, not just in the colleges but also in organizations, and brings a lot of experience in what are the challenges and opportunities when it comes to academia and industry collaboration. So once again, welcome to you as well, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Manish, and elated to be part of this discussion today.
Perfect. So we have the virtual dais set. We have industry experts in Shiva and Sriram, and the HR and talent acquisition team in Rambabu and Tracy. And I'm sure the all the listeners, the people from colleges and heads of colleges and CPOs who are listening in, they are in for a very insightful discussion, and they would have a lot of insights, actionable insights on what could be done to improve the industry collaboration. Remember, I think there is background noise. Yeah, great. Thank you for that. So, with that, let me straight dive into the panel discussion and bring out the insights that we are all waiting for. So, my first question is for Siva. Siva, you've been around for many years. You've worked with the industry. The now you're part of NASCOM, which is essentially the bringing the bird's eye view and kind of having a view of over the entire industry, specifically the ER&D industry. And you've been closely watching that part. Can you share with us the situation of the demand and supply of talent in this space? And how is it today? And how is it likely to change in the next few years? And some light on the challenges that we see in deploying engineers right straight from college. And we hear that 15 lakh students every year pass out from colleges, but only 15-20% of them are deployable. So give us a perspective of what's happening with the talent demand and supply. How is it likely to change? And some perspective on what challenges are there currently.
Okay. Thank you, Manish, and good morning to the participants as well as the co-panelists. Sorry, I have certain throat infection, but I tried to do my best. So, if you see that engineering, research and development service industry from India today contribute to about $36 billion exports, and it is going to grow fourfold by end of this decade by 2030 and expected to reach about $120 billion. And if you see today, the current talent within the engineering and R&D service industry is about 1 million people closely, which is 1 lakh people. And the total demand is at 1.3 million. Today, we have the supply versus demand gap of about 300,000 engineers. And the demand is going to rise from the current 1.3 million to 4 million roughly by 2030. And the supply from the academia, when I say that the qualified talent supply stands at 2.2 million. So there is roughly about 1.7 million supply versus the demand gap that we need to address. So that is a broad perspective on the industry. And maybe can you repeat your second question, Manish?
So I think so this is great insight in terms of the current gap being 300,000 people, and it's likely to increase to 1.7 million, which is staggering in the next 5 years. The second part of the question was that today when we look at the deployability of students coming straight out of college into industry, there is a bit of a challenge. Only 20%, 15-20% of these students are deployable. According to you, what are the main reasons for that? And I'll come to you, Sriram, after this and we're trying to get your perspective on the same thing about the gap and this. Yes, Siva.
Yeah, no, I think what you said is right. So maybe I will give the perspectives. One is on the demand side, and then also what is the gaps that where the academia students are not, why the academic students are not employable and employable ratio is low. So the industry is transforming at a speed, right? So today, if you see all the products, either it could be a car, it could be uh, any of aircraft or any of the products that you use daily. So many of the mechanical systems are moving into the embedded systems, and the embedded systems moving into the cloudification, so that it enabling the new business models for the customers or even a customer experience, right? The software led products and cloudification is the trend. So first of all, even the industry, the talent need to be upgraded very fastly, because the technology is changing so at a rapid pace. That's the one thing. The second element, if you see that, even it required interdisciplinary skills. It does not mean that being a mechanical engineer, you are doing the electronics, but are a electronics engineer doing a software. But it is very important is the interfaces between the mechanical and electronics is very important. Just to give you an example of a steering, which you use in the car, it has a mechanical system, embedded system. Now the steering can be cloudified with the future autonomous, right? So this is something at a college level. I see that the interdisciplinary committees looking the curriculum more building at the interface level, because the academia works in a silos between the departments. That is one aspect that I can say. The second is the quality of engineers is what we studied from NASCOM. The predominantly is a disconnect between the university curriculum or a college curriculum versus the industry needs. So that's a major problem. And today, a lot of colleges started working together with academia, creating and industry, and creating their own L&D programs, customized L&D programs. This is only, reaching to about 300 students out of the 9 million engineering graduates. So this is something which is a gap. So today the L&D programs, joint L&D programs between academia and industry penetration is very low, which stands at maybe 15 to 20%.
Thank you, Shiva. That's insightful. So I think the key takeaways that I take from your your knowledge is that one, of course, there's a gap of 300,000 people, which is likely to multiply to about 5 times in the next 5 years, which is also an opportunity for the academia to then address that many more students that can come and join the industry. And then you touched upon the curriculum and the silos within the departments, and then the need for more L&D based approach, working together with the industry. I think these are great insights. Thank you so much for that. Moving on, maybe Sriram, from your perspective, what would you say is what you see as the talent and demand gap, and in talking to your customers, and the disconnect in terms of making those the available talent deployable?
All right. So good morning, everyone. I think it's an absolute pleasure to be on a Friday morning with an eminent panel, and also, amidst many of the eminent professors and representative from various colleges, across India. A big thank you to everybody who had joined this virtually. I think this is the need of the hour. This topic is extremely important. And good to see our dear friend Shiva also as a part of this panel, and Tracy and Rambabu. So it's such an honor. I think just to take a cue from what Shiva said, just as an extension, if you look at it like a triangle, right, there are three pieces to this puzzle. One is the academia and the faculties associated with it. The second is the industry, which is us. The third piece of it is the student, right? The immersion of all of the three need to come together for us to address the skill gap that we are talking about. We are not talking about an opportunity gap, because opportunity is there, as NASCOM data suggested. Opportunity is significantly there, but the immersion collaboration of these three together is to address the skill gap that is needed. That is why if you look at what we are talking of is fit for industry. So what is fit for industry? Today, if a student who gets observed into any organization, he or she has to go through certain set of a training before they become deployable. And there is a window that it takes for someone to be productive. What is that the problem statement that the industry is trying to solve is the industry is looking for talent who could be made available for our customers and deployed in a shorter span of time. So how do I crunch that timeline? So that is the problem that the industry is trying to solve, right? Like us, we are trying to solve. What is the problem that academia is trying to solve? Academia, which is basically the faculty and the colleges are trying to solve, is how do you give a course that is relevant for the industry so that you can prepare the students when they join into the corporate world? So that is from their perspective. The second leg, what is that the students are looking for? Students are looking for that when I join an organization, I am not intimidated by what is happening in that organization. And at the same time, I feel confident that I can find a job outside of my college. If you get placed in campus, well and good. If not, also, how do I get a job outside of it? What sort of a skill sets that I needed to have? I think today what has been happening so far, Manish, is that these have been looked at independently. Industry was looking to grapple their problem that separately. Colleges were trying to solve that problem separately, and students were trying to figure out, what works for them independently. Idea is these need to come together. When it comes together, I think that is when you will hit that perfect point wherein which that immersion happens, and that is going to take care of all the skill gaps that Shiva talked about. That's my perspective.
Thank you so much. I think you've brought these three vertices of the triangle together, which is the industry, the academia, and the students, and what are their expectations, and what are they trying to do and achieve in this time where the trends are changing so rapidly. So thank you so much for that insight, Sriram. Taking cue from what both you and Siva mentioned about what's happening in the talent industry, and the gap that we have and the opportunities. Maybe I'll pick brains from Ram Babu and Tracy on this subject. And first, I'll go to Tracy. Tracy, in your experience also, and like we have talked about, the collaboration between industry and the academia has been going on for many years, maybe many decades as well. But and there's a lot that has been done, but there's still a lot desired in terms of the areas in which both organizations, the industry and the academia, can collaborate and improve. According to you, where would you put your bet in terms of where could be the maximum impact in making those changes, and what is that?
Thank you, Manish, and very good morning, all of you who have joined us today live from different locations. And hearty welcome to the professors, TPOs, and the students. So, Manish, to address this question, this has been a topic of debate for quite some time now. So, been in this industry for more than 2 decades now, and I've been hearing for last 2 decades that there is a gap between academia and industry that needs to be bridged, and how do we bridge this? So, this is one of the perennial problems which both of us, both industry and academia, is trying to solve. But on a hindsight, if you see, industry academia partnerships have given life to many blockbuster inventions today, across the globe, if we look at. So that means this is one of the most wonderful partnership that exists in this world when industry joins hands with academia. And there are many shining examples of this collaboration in the past. And I've been associated with many of these universities. I'm sure most of them on this call today have already worked with me in the past. So, apart from all the things that have been done, few more things that I feel would bring in a lot of alignment. One is both academia and industry should look at it from a long term perspective. It's an investment what an academia makes in building skill talent, and it's an investment which an industry makes to bridge this gap or build skilled manpower to solve the industry relevant problems. So, in that terms, taking a cue out of what Shiva just mentioned, every department works in silos, and today it's an interdisciplinary world that where we are living in. So, in fact, when we recruit the fresh graduates, so they come from mechanical domain and they get trained on Python and C programming, and they do have a lot of apprehensions in the beginning. But end of the day, this is how you survive working in a multidisciplinary environment. Two is the academia need to work on the course curriculum right from the beginning. Both academia and industry should work hand in hand, wherein they co-design and co-deliver the courses. So that is one of the key factors. So some of the successful partnerships that I have seen in the past have utilized this mantra of co-design and co-delivering the curriculum. And in some of the program review committees of many of the universities, I have seen where they have a panel of industry folks attending their monthly cadences and course correcting the curriculum so that it is exactly in alignment with the industry expectations. So that has actually worked. Having industry folks on the board of studies also helps a lot. And from the student perspective, start working on the industry relevant projects right from the beginning. Say you start as early as second semester, third semester, and by the time you complete your engineering, you should have at least 4 to 5 mini projects, real world projects that would actually build in a lot of credibility for you as an engineer per se, if not for a job. To bring in that credibility as an engineer, a student should be focusing on some of these aspects. And lastly, from industry, how we can contribute. See, this is a win-win situation for both of us. There is an expectation set from the academia. Similarly, there is an expectation set from the industry as well. So if the industry goes all out and it set up the center of excellences or labs in the colleges, that would actually give a playing ground for the students to soil their hands at a very early stage, and they can prep themselves up to become part of the larger industry and solve industry relevant problems.
Wonderful. I think your passion was showing in what you were saying and the experience of working with academia as well. So I could pick a few things from your conversation. One, of course, is the potential of this collaboration is innovation, which could be groundbreaking or pathbreaking. And then, of course, working together to co-design and co-deliver is a key aspect. And the investment in terms of building advanced labs is also something that you've seen worked well in your experience. So really insightful, Tracy, and thank you so much for that. Ram Babu, would you like to add anything in addition to what we've heard from Tracy in terms of, what more could be done?
See, I would like to talk from my current problems and what problems I'm facing in terms of talent pipeline that I have to build, right? So last year, if you see, we added about 28% of the headcount. And this financial year, we are supposed to add about 35% of the headcount at a minimum. That is a kind of pipeline of business that we have, and the projections that we have for the next 3 years is extremely strong. And as NASCOM has predicted, the engineering services business is at cusp of exponential growth. It's just like what IT was around 2000 or so. So I think the numbers that Shiva talked about, the huge gap of talent, that is very much, I think the industry as well as the government and the academy is very much aware about the gap. But for the people who are on the ground trying to get talent, I cannot add all these 30, 35%, 40% of headcount additions. I cannot keep adding just by pure hiring, from the market. That's near impossible. So we are planning for at least 40 to 50% of that to come from the fresh campus hires for sure. But when that campus hires we do, and I just give it to Tracy's team, LNOD, and that goes, we need to look at how quickly we can put them on the projects. And when we talk about projects like customers like, whether it's Jaguar Land Rover or Tata Motors or Airbus, some of these customers, can I put this, um, fresh engineers directly on the projects in 1 month, 2 months? It's a big question mark, right? So we don't want to compromise on the quality. That's given. So a lot of work which happens here after they join, can we look at them? The whole initiative of this is, can we have all this upskilling being done when they are in the universities, right? So I think this initiative is extremely good. I think the I get it is an extremely good platform. We have validated it with a couple of universities. The results of that is extremely good. Some of the engineers who come out of the program seem to be doing extremely good in the projects. I think we should do more and more, and I think that's going to help as a talent acquisition person. It's going to help us a lot. I think Manish, I bank on you and Tracy to make this successful, so that it will be a great help for us.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Ram Babu. I think uh, you have outlined your challenges of growing the organization from almost 25% last year to 35% this year. And that and then everybody that who's listening in could be a participant in making sure that opportunity or problem statement can be addressed. So thank you for sharing that perspective
Thank
from
you.
what you are really dealing with day in and day out. And we'll come to Tracy on how she's then taking these people and making them deployable. And before that, let me just maybe look at the various options that we have today um, within the span of educating people. And when it's about acquiring skills in general, during the COVID period, we all were virtual. We were all meeting virtually, studying, working, and so on. And that has given all of us a sense of what is possible virtually or online. And from that perspective, keeping that in view, and God knows what can happen tomorrow. But if things are still normal, and we work as normal, and we study as normal, what is the role of e-learning, which is learning on your own, at your own pace, at your own, in your own space? What is the role of e-learning today, and how do you think that whole space is going to make an impact in addressing the talent and demand gap that we have? And maybe I'll start with you, Siva, on how do you think the whole impact of online e-learning is going to be in terms of addressing this problem?
Yeah. So definitely the e-learning will address, right, the gap between what is taught in the university versus, industry needs, right? So that is something this definitely address. Because if, for example, in a university, you thought more about, for example, you take embedded electronics, you thought more about microprocessors, controllers, and all. But what is exactly the industry need is more applications. AI getting into the embedded, cyber security getting into the embedded, right? So this is something which really fix the gap. But when it comes to engineering, I think apart from the e-learning, I think you need to have a mid-level skilling programs, because I believe the entry-level skilling is, can be done through the e-learning, but the mid-level skilling programs to be more practical oriented and application oriented, right? So definitely, if the partnerships with the universities as an extension to e-learning on imposing the practical training on the real-time applications really address the gap by 100%, and definitely the e-learning will address about 70 to 80%.
Great. Thank you for that answer. I think that's an encouraging thing for all of us who are trying to address the masses, because as India is a huge population base, giving education and connecting from the industry to the academia one-on-one is going to be a challenge, and e-learning is going to be a very good enabler in that. Any perspectives from you, Shriram, on what could be the impact of e-learning, and how do you see that shaping the future careers of students in India today?
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with what Shiva said. See, if you look at pre-COVID world and the COVID world, in the last couple of years, pretty much everything has become online, right? Most of the institutions, either academia or in terms of companies like ourselves, people were virtually working from wherever they wanted to work on it, right? In fact, I know students who had gotten to admissions into US and UK, finished their 1 year of classroom without visiting UK or US, actually, right? I mean, they were doing it out of India, but they were part of the UK university. So I think that this has become a cliche of new normal. I think this is here to stay, right? I mean, irrespective of what happens. So that's point number one. The most important point is, if you look at the learning as a whole, it's like a layers of cake. The base layer, which is what the Fit4Industry that we are trying to address in general, is to reach the masses, wherein which you have an understanding of what is happening, you have an understanding of how these interdisciplinary things that people spoke about that are coming into play, some sort of a self-paced learning. I think that is possible with e-learning. This is not only for academia. Even many of the corporates are trying to do upskilling of their technicians into the mechanical skill sets to electrical skill sets, EV world and things like that. So the base layer e-learning is 100% possible. Then comes a layer on top of it, which is the mid-level type of a thing, which Shiva touched upon and Tracy also talked about it, wherein which you really wanted to set up some center of competencies type of thing, wherein which you have a laboratory, you have all of those machines. So, wherein which you wanted to bring in students, some sort of, physical interactions, kind of a hybrid. That's the middle layer. And then you talk about a top layer, wherein which some of the academia who have the luxury and who have the wherewithal to create courses itself, they are working with the industry in really defining the courses, right from the beginning, the whole course of it, and then people visit and stuff like that, right? This is how it is need to look at it, because today's meeting is a classic example of it, right? I mean, we've got people joining from all over India. If we were to do this, any other mode, this would not have worked. 2-3 years back, if somebody had proposed that we are going to have an e-meet with about 200-300 colleges representing, and then we're going to talk about skills for the future, people would say that, how is this going to work, right? I think as we evolve, the use of technology is significantly changing. And the program that we are trying to do is every single student that comes out of the college needed to have this base layer, because without this base layer, people will get intimidated. Because one of the things that we, when we talk about 20% of the resources are only deployable today, it is, I'm sure that Tracy and Rambab will add on to this, which is, it's not just about the technical ability of it. It is a lot of soft skills associated with it. It is also about confidence of that individual. I think those are the things that we needed to look at it as a holistically before making somebody fit for industry. Because when we say fit for industry, it is not just the nuts and bolts of the technical skills. That is important, but there are other layers that needs to come.
Wonderful. Uh, I think it's the your answer kind of gives me a perspective on the possibilities, and also that at least the base layer of making the foundation strong could be potentially addressed through e-learning, and then top of other skills could be added on top of that, so that people are made more confident. And you need a holistic approach to skilling, and not just technical but even soft skills. So thank you for that, Shriram. And maybe now I'll switch gears and see how we are addressing these, some of the things that we want in the students, which we don't get when we bring them in the organization. And then we have to really invest our time and effort and money in making sure that whatever is missing is then layered on the students, on the GETs that we hire, and we make them as deployable as possible and in the shortest possible time. So that's what I think, Tracy, you struggle with every day. Although I'm sure you're enjoying the energy that comes along with so many graduate hires coming into the organization, and the freshness they all bring in. But tell us a little bit about, what is it when you bring in a GET, and how much time it takes for us really to make them deployable, and perhaps what would you want in these people before they come in to our organization?
So, Manish, I must appreciate the energy the GETs bring in. So they actually bring in that fresh air, fresh energy, and fresh innovation into any organization. So an organization, when it makes its conscious decision to hire GETs, I think it's one of the best decisions an organization can make, because they actually bring in a lot of fresh air into the organization. That is one. The struggle, I don't really call it as a struggle, because I want to put it this way: the GT, or the campus higher training program that we offer, the large objective of it is to polish these diamonds and make them more shiny by the end of 90th day. So this is my high level objective of running the entire GET training program within Tara Technologies. So, as far as my function is concerned, we run a 90-day program, because we typically feel that we need to give that space for the GETs to align themselves culturally as well as technically as well, to handle customer projects. So the kind of trainings that we curate is more oriented towards technology, domain, process, and also a lot of behavioral training also gets into it, because we need to get into customer facing role at some point in time. So they need to be more aligned in terms of their presentations, etc. So that is one part of it. The expectation from the GETs would be, when you join any organization, just ensure that you're extremely good in your fundamentals. That is very important. We can build multiple layers over and above that, but if your fundamentals are weak, it gets extremely difficult for to hone your skills. So that is one thing. And we do recruit the fresh graduates in ER&D and digital line of business, in which we are in. And also the domains are aero, auto, and heavy machinery. Ensure that you do have an excellent domain knowledge, and come with an open mindset. That is very, very important for us. If you do not come with an open mindset, say some of them do come with a very closed mindset. I've done my mechanical engineering, I want to go through mechanical engineering courses. As Siva rightly pointed out in the beginning itself, we are living in a multidisciplinary world. What we did 20 years ago, none of us are doing it now. What we did 5 years ago, we are not doing it now. I think we spoke about it in one of our previous talks as well, right?
Right.
So this is a constantly changing world, and there's a lot of new innovations that are happening. So do come with an open mindset. Have a wonderful problem solving skills. That is very important, whether you come from mechanical or computer science or embedded or electrical or electronics. It really doesn't matter, as far as you come with a right attitude, right mindset, and good problem solving skills. I think rest of it should be taken care by us. So these are some of the aspects what I would like to call out. As a key takeaway for the placement officers who are on this call, just ensure you're aligned with us even before your student enters into third year, so that an early engagement with us actually helps a lot. Two is for the professors, follow a blended mode of learning wherein there is e-learning that you provide to your students, there's live virtual classrooms that you organize, as well as classroom training that you provide. So follow a blended mode of learning that has actually worked well, amongst most of the training programs that we have conducted. And for students, be a proactive learner and come with an open mindset. That's all I would like to emphasize on, Manish.
Amazing words of wisdom from you, Tracy, for everybody who's listening in, whether it's a student or a professor or a head of a college. I think these are golden words and opportunities for everybody to listen in and see what more can be done from what we are discussing in this panel today. I I think just to summarize what we have covered across all of you in the last 30 odd minutes is there is of course a wide gap that is widening from what we heard from Siva. 1.7 million students or people required in the ER&D space alone in the next 5 years is a huge five times of what the gap is today. Second, we touched upon what Ram Babu was grappling with, which is growing the organization 35%, and he wants to do it with more and more GTs. So, and I'm sure that process of selecting the right talent from the community that is available is a humongous task, and that there is an opportunity to collaborate and improve and make sure that there is benefit on both sides. And lastly, I think in terms of the whole model of engagement, there are layers of experience that needs to be provided. The foundation could be learning, and then there's a blended mode of learning, and then of course the whole mindset of everybody, not just the students, but the academia and the industry, an open mind and willingness to collaborate is the key to making or addressing this whole situation that we all find ourselves in, where there is demand, but we don't have the right talent. And now to kind of just maybe segue into what we are here to also discuss, which is the program that we within Tata Technologies have launched for our colleges and campuses, the Engage program. I would like to now segue into how this program could address some of these challenges of making sure that this collaboration starts at the right time and provides the right foundational skills, and then we could work towards making this happen and address this gap. I'd like to thank all the panelists for their insights and all the wisdom, and I would request you to stay on if you want. And if Siva, if you want to leave, you could. There are a couple of questions we could take them on after we have presented our offering Engage. But thank you so much for all the insights. And now I'll request that we play the video of Engage, just to introduce it to all of you. And please keep posting your questions. We will take them at the end of the session.
Yeah, thanks. I think
Great. So that was an introduction to the program Engage, which is a program that we have conceptualized for certifying fit for industry engineers for the new age. So engineers for the new age is what Engage means. It is meant to produce and certify engineers which are fit for industry. As you saw during the video, it covers foundational aspects and advanced skills, and not just those domain skills, but it also addresses the behavioral side and also gives an employability assessment for all the students so that they could gauge as to where they fit best. And this program starts on 10th of October. Before we end the session, I would like to just also dig deeper into the curriculum and what the entire Engage program entails. And again, of course, keep posting your questions. We'll still have time for some questions, and we already have a few questions, and I'll take them after I present these slides. So, as we explained, the base part of our curriculum is addressing the foundational skills in engineering and automotive, and there are 4 components of it. And then on top of that, we have a choice to add some of these advanced skills, which could be in PLM, embedded software, and digital manufacturing. We are starting with PLM as our topping on our foundational skill basket. And then, of course, there is soft skills, there is industry interactions, tech talks, and finally an assessment which leads to an ultimate certification of the student. So this approach is what is the methodology of Engage. And just to dig a bit deeper, the foundation package of Engage would entail all of this, what you see on this slide, which is the foundational elements of any CAD, CAE software, and design, product development. Not just that, fundamentals in GD&T, additive manufacturing, even project management, and those things would be addressed, which will give a very solid foundation to the students. These are tens and thousands of courses that are used today by engineers across the world, not just students, primarily the professionals who are working in industry, and these are built by industry experts. So of huge knowledge bank and wealth of knowledge that resides in these self e-learning courses. Then we add on top of that layer the advanced and fundamental modules in styling, design development, CAE, formability, die design, fixture design, BIW, and plastics and trims. 160 hours of curated content to make sure that when an engineer enters, he has these foundational knowledge on these subjects. So this is where the technical knowledge is imbibed by the students. And then not just that, we add a layer of cognitive skills, personality development, which addresses these aspects of professional development, career building, proficiency in communication, and making sure that you understand the cultural aspects and how to deal with people and customers and so on. So very important core fundamental skill that needs to be garnered before somebody comes into the industry. And last but not the least, it's about making sure that you understand where you stand in terms of where your core strengths and weaknesses are, and how do you improve that. So this employability assessment gives you that kind of a chart in front of you to look at what you could do best in your career. So these are the 4 fundamental pillars of our foundational package. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, you could add PLM, and moving forward, we'll also have programs in embedded systems and digital manufacturing. So all of this is what comes as part of the Engage program. And ultimately, as I mentioned, it leads to a certification from Tata Technologies, which and this program is not new. We've been running this as a CSR initiative for last many years, and a lot of thousands of students has made use of this. But there are limitations to what we can do as part of CSR, and hence we are extending this so that it reaches the masses and we are able to address as many students as possible. And when it comes to finally, the pricing, the question that some of you may have is here on this slide. So today, when we retail our, if you go to our I Get It website, you can buy this the module at $499 per user as a student, and then you can add on one of the specializations at $150 per specialization. But for making it affordable and deployable across masses and say 100, 200 students in the third year, which is where we are targeting this program to start, is a special pricing. So one of you who are interested in making this impact to your students and your organization, as in your college, we would be very happy to engage with you and sign up with you to make your students fit for industry. With that, I will end this session, and now I will take some questions that we are already having in the chat window. And just as a reminder, after this session, you would receive an email from our side, which will have a simple question, whether you want to join the program. And if your answer as yes, our representative will contact you, and we will get engaged to make sure that we make the impact which we have talked about. So with that, let me take a few questions, and I'll request the panelists to answer them as they deem fit. So one question that I think is consistently coming is that, and I'll try and post it here on this window. It's from Bharat Kumar Bhandari. His question is colleges across India has taken front seat, and core engineering, as in the IT side, has taken front seat, and core engineering branches like civil, mechanical have taken back seat in the admissions in colleges across India, forcing colleges to reduce their core engineering intake and increasing IT intake. The number of job opportunities in core companies are not as extensive as IT industries who are hiring on bulk, and that's the reason for core branch. So I think this is one thing that keeps coming up again, whether mechanical, the Royal Mechs are going to remain Royals, or is that changing? And I would request Sriram, Tracy, one of you to see if you can, or Rambabu, to address this question.
I think Tracy and Rambabu are best suited for it. But just very quick point. Thank you, Mr. Bhandari, Bharat Kumar Bhandari, for the question. I think this is answered already. If you look at the numbers that are posted by Shiva, those are very related only to engineering research and development. So the need that we are talking about, what happened in the IT space in the mid 90s is happening in the engineering R&D and the spend increase happening in the 2020s. So this is a significant paradigm shift, number one. Number two is, I think, the interdisciplinary thing that Tracy and Rambabu, everybody touched upon it, right? I mean, it is not about the skill or that skill. I mean, you got to have, industries are becoming without borders, and courses are also becoming without borders. I mean, those are my, 2 cents. Maybe specifics, Ram or Tracy are the right ones to talk, actually.
Absolutely. Rambabu or Tracy?
So, yeah. Tracy, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Tracy.
So, Manish, as you rightly mentioned, the Royal Mech is always going to remain the most evergreen branch of engineering. And although even I have been hearing to this, that the core branch intake is reduced in many of the universities. But on a hindsight, if you see, even if you take automotive as an industry, automotive industry as an example, and Tata Technologies, we do hire a lot of mechanical engineers. And these mechanical engineers, continue to upskill themselves on various new technologies or skills and build their skills on top of mechanical engineering. So having been worked in the automotive industry, I know that having the domain knowledge is extremely important. I emphasized that in the previous answer as well, that having domain knowledge becomes extremely important. And on top of that, building the skills is not very difficult. So don't get perturbed by the number of jobs that you see in the market, that it is IT jobs that are going high and the mechanical jobs which are going low. But today we have started talking about digital twins and additive manufacturing, etc. And that is where the mechanical engineers are hired at large. So I think that says it all. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. So, I think going by the large volume of intake by the IT giants, I think that the question is propping up because of that. But the core, engineering field is still there. It's not only there; it's thriving and it's growing in leaps and bounds. But we need not have to compare that to the general IT industry. But 20 years back, the volume of the core engineers, whether it's mechanical, electronics, some of this civil, the volume of jobs for them to right today, we need to compare to the current in the current times. It's huge. And if I compare in the next 3 to 5 years, right? We are seeing a deficit of almost 24 to 25%. That's what Shiva from NASCOM was talking about. So we'll just compare the core engineering requirements that we have, what was there in the past, where are we now, and in the future when we look at, there is a huge volume of core engineers who are required for the industry. But again, the challenge is how passionate the engineers are for doing this core engineering. After studying mechanical engineering, if the engineer goes to IT industry, start doing coding for a banking company or an insurance company, then whatever he has learned for the whole of his life, okay, he's going to waste it. If he's passionate about, we were very passionate about. I myself, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I stuck on to my engineering when the IT industry was booming, and that has paid off for me. I stuck to my, so if the engineers are passionate about it, I'm telling you, there's huge volume of jobs around. And once they're passionate, they'll go deep into it. They become the technocrats, and they'll become the gurus for the next generation. So I think that question, we need not have to have any apprehension. There is huge amount of jobs, and that's going to only grow and grow. And the kind of numbers NASCOM is predicting, it's going to be a huge growth for all these core engineers. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think that question also popped up multiple times. So I'm sure others who had the similar question, somebody said people work for a couple of years and then they go to the US, and there's a brain drain happening. And I think with more and more opportunities coming to India, and with what's happening with Make in India and all of that, these opportunities are going to increase. Since we have touched the hour, I would answer these questions one on one now. We still have many more questions to address, but due to paucity of time, we'll stop here. And before
maybe
we
Manish,
Sriram, I was going to say, please.
if there are interest, maybe we could extend by 10-15 minutes, because really appreciate all the faculty joining in, and I think we got to respect their time and their questions. So I'm sure that my fellow panelists Tracy and Ram would be okay if we were to do it for 10-15 minutes more, actually.
Sure, I will take a few more questions then. So I think this question is similar to what we just went through. When will Make in India call of government become reality, and core engineering will get its due? When will core companies do bulk hiring? And I think you touched upon this. The whole scenario that NASCOM today represented was around ER&D, which is the core skills that we are talking about. And so this is certainly going to change, and I'm sure this kind of addresses. So this question is from PVPIT, which is around orientation and projects, and I think this is one area that we would be addressing in some form fashion with the Engage program, because the blended mode of learning would come with having the base layer of e-learning and on top of that, having these tech talks and industry interactions and some projects that the students can really work on and toil their hands and minds and come up with experiences that can help them come into the mainstay. This question is about time management from students' perspective. Uh, Perspective of the set course, especially if it is in offline mode. I think this is an excellent question. I think today there is a lot of information available for everybody to look at, whether it's YouTube or these so many academies that are there online. And I think the one thing that people can really take from programs like this is this will tell them what to focus on, and it will remove the distractions. So the best thing that will happen is for a student to know that if I do this, I am fit for industry, and versus just going everywhere on the planet and trying to see what is available. So that would first of all address the need to, or reduce the effort of finding the right things to study, and that should address the time management aspect, is what I think. Tracy, over to you.
So I think, Nilesh, this has been a perennial question amongst the student community. How do we manage time? So the ground reality is everybody has the same 24 hours. That's a cliche though. But what we intend to do through Engage program on our iGetIt platform is enabling learning anywhere on any device is something what we are targeting on. So the students will be able to access these courses anytime on any device. And I think that should actually address their time management issues as well. Hope I
I think
answered your question, Manish.
you're absolutely right, Tracy. Just one additional point. So our iGetIt platform, based on what Manish mentioned, every student, every license is valid for 1 year actually, and then we are talking of 160 hours of focused learning. So people can face it out. So it is not that it has to be done in the next 20 days, 30 days timeline. So you got a window, and you got anytime learning, like Tracy mentioned. So this was carefully designed in a way that it should not come in that I have a semester exam, and if this license expires in 30 days, how do I do this? If I have to complete it in 2 weeks, what is to be? So this was thought about it, Mr. Nilesh.
Thank you for that, Sriram and Tracy. So this next question is from Indrajit, how to collaborate with Tata Technologies. I think, as I mentioned, after this session, you would receive an email. And if you are interested, please send in your response, and we'll connect with you, as soon as we can. Okay.
On a lighter note, Manish, there's no question of if you're interested. I think every eminent person in this panel knows this. I mean, this is a topic of the future, and every academia who's part of it would be interested.
Absolutely. So I'm just posting a question. Survey of engineering students, especially GETs after 3 years. I think we've covered this, the brain drain. And so colleges who don't have NAC accreditation are eligible. I think we'll connect with you, Mr. Vikas Sharma, and try to understand your situation and then move forward from there. So kindly provide insights on the opportunities available for students to develop their tech and soft skills through e-learning. Any resources from industry side? I think, Mr. Ramya, this question was addressed in my presentation, that we will be covering the resources that students can utilize for their product development knowledge, then add on the PLM knowledge and the automotive skills that we mentioned. And of course, not just that, the soft skills would include the communication, the behavioral skills, and so on. Again, very comprehensive program that kind of addresses the 360-degree development of a student and make them industry ready. I think the questions are pouring in, but we'll maybe take this one last thing, and then we will close the session. This question
Manish,
is
just one minor suggestion. Given that a lot of questions are coming in, of course, at the end of it, we will send that form to each of the participant. We could create an FAQ based on those questions and then try to send back as a summary response.
absolutely a great suggestion. So this question, and this would be our last question from Deepak Wag. Sir is asking, most of the MNCs are hiring from IIT, NITs, and top institutes. They are not giving chance to other university students. I think that's it's evident. And I don't know, anybody, one of you would like to pick this and answer this?
I think Ram.
So I might be the right person for this. So actually, the way we are looking at it is talent from anywhere who suit our requirements, and then who are capable of delivering projects for our customers. We are picking up. At least in Tata Technologies, we are not restricting ourselves to IITs and NITs for sure, and we are not going by the rankings and all that. So because we have observed that some of the colleges in remote areas, we have got extremely good talent who have been delivering. And if I look at some of the graduate engineers about 6-7 years back whom we have taken, or 10 years back whom we have taken, they have grown up as our leaders, right? So I think the talent is available everywhere, and I think we have an evaluation process. Doesn't matter which college. If they go through that evaluation process, if they qualify, we are happy to take. Doesn't matter whether it's IIT or NIT.
Perfect. I think that should give a lot of reassurance to everybody who's listening in to say that if you follow the process, if you go through what our curriculum is, if you take your students and make them work through what we have prescribed as our curriculum, and then they go through the assessment and they certify, then there's no stopping in hiring them, not just by us. They will certainly be more employable and will be available, or the world will be open for them to be better employed across anywhere in the industry. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us for almost an hour plus and sharing your insights and all of the wonderful questions that we've received from all of you from the different colleges and universities across India who have joined us. We had more than 300 participants on this call today. Once again, thank you so much, Sriram, Krishi, and Babu, for being here. And I look forward to working with the people we can't see on the screen, but I'm sure they are going insightful and excited about the opportunities to make their students fit for industry. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Manish, for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.